Poor girl reveals life-changing secret on ultrasound. Millionaire discovers incredible truth. Sarah's heart raced as she waited nervously in the clinic exam room. The echoes of laughter from children playing outside seeped through the thin walls, reminding her of everything she yearned for. Not just a diploma as a nurse, but a chance to help the very families surrounding her. Her world spun right before her eyes when the doctor entered, a gentle smile on his face. "Congratulations, Sarah. You're pregnant." Those words felt like a lightning bolt, striking her with uncertainty and dread in equal measure. Visions of stethoscopes hung on the walls of her future, suddenly replaced by the reality of waddling through life with a child. Her breath hitched, tears pricked her eyes. The diner, with its greasy plates and long hours, clashed with her dreams. She envisioned a life where she could care for her community, like her late mother had. Seems life just had other plans, didn't it? The economic pressure weighed her down. Could she still chase her dreams while preparing for motherhood? Across town, Robert, a businessman in a tailored suit, felt an unsettling void in his life. Gated communities and big investments couldn't fill the emptiness in his heart. A phone call about funding a community clinic brought up old feelings he preferred to ignore. He didn't want to be another faceless benefactor. He longed for purpose beyond profits, but his world felt so far removed from the realities of families like Sarah's, lives that existed in the shadow of wealth. As chaos intertwined his life with hers, fate pushed Sarah to open her late mother's journal one quiet evening. The words leaped off the pages, breathing new life into her thoughts. It spoke of serving others, a mission to uplift those less fortunate. Inspired, Sarah dreamed of organizing a fundraiser to support the clinic, a beacon of hope for her child and herself. But the pressure of family expectations loomed large, and self-doubt began seeping in. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. On the night of the fundraiser, the spirit of the neighborhood sparkled with excitement, yet Sarah's heart felt heavy with fear. Would she be judged? Meanwhile, Robert arrived, drawn in not by ambition but the promise of connection. As he mingled, he stumbled upon Sarah, a fiery spirit organizing her dreams into reality. Recognition hit him like a tidal wave. This was the daughter of that veteran he admired from afar. Their worlds collided. She embodied resilience, and he was comforted by privilege. In a charged moment, their gaze locked, revealing the depth of their polar experiences. Can someone like Robert truly understand Sarah's fears? As thunder rumbled outside, so too did the storm brewing within them. The answers they sought hovered like the rain, heavy, unresolved, begging to be confronted. But desire mingled with doubt and determination, riveting their destinies as the night continued, leaving an electrifying question lingering in the air. Were they both ready to step into the unknown together? The room buzzed with conversation, a blend of laughter and the clinking of glasses. Sarah's heart beat wildly in her chest, each pulse echoing her trepidation. She watched as familiar faces mingled with strangers, her friends and neighbors gathering for a cause so close to her heart. But here she stood, a whisper of a girl clinging to hope and fear, feeling microscopic among the swirling energy of the evening. Sarah, one of her classmates, waved her over, pulling her from her thoughts. "Come help us with the sign-up sheet." Taking a deep breath, she forced a smile and crossed the room. As she took her place beside the table, she began jotting down names, the jagged edge of her nerves softening amidst the laughter and friendly banter. With every signature, a flicker of hope kindled in the pit of her stomach. Each person here wasn't just signing up. They were investing in a future she dreamed of. Just as she perceived a glimpse of triumph, her gaze drifted to Robert. He stood across the room, radiating confidence, yet it seemed the smile on his face didn't quite reach his eyes. Something was brewing beneath the surface, perhaps the loneliness of ambition, or the weight of unfulfilled expectations. They made eye contact again, and it sent a wave of warmth through her, despite the turmoil still swirling in her mind. "Sarah?" The soft voice broke her revelry. She turned to find Mrs. Harper, an elderly woman from the diner, whose smiling face was a comfort in this sea of uncertainty. What a wonderful gathering. I'm so proud of what you're doing. Your mother would have been so proud too. Tears pricked at her eyes, threatening to spill. Each moment reminded her of the loss, of everything her mother represented in her dreams. Thank you, Mrs. Harper, she managed, wiping her eyes quickly. I just hope to make a difference. Dear, you already are. Encouraged by Mrs. Harper's words, Sarah turned back to the crowd, her spirit ignited. It was time for the speeches to begin. Grabbing the microphone, she stepped up to the small raised platform. Clearing her throat, she glanced around at the faces illuminated by soft lighting, their expressions inviting. Thank you all for being here tonight, she began, her voice steadying with each word. This community means everything to me. We have the chance to build something profound together. A clinic where dreams aren't just dreams but become reality. The crowd murmured in agreement, and a spark of excitement filled the air. Meanwhile, Robert observed, captivated. He admired Sarah's raw passion, untouched by the jaded world he often inhabited. He knew this wasn't just another charity event. This was a manifestation of hope and courage. Her strength resonated with him, awakening shadows of his own purpose. Just as she finished her speech, the skies cracked open, pouring rain against the windows. Thunder rolled, momentarily catching everyone's breath. People exchanged nervous glances, but Sarah felt an odd sense of freedom blossom within her. If she could channel that storm throughout her speech, perhaps they could navigate the tumult of their uncertainties together. As the evening continued, conversations buzzed with enthusiasm, yet Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Robert stepped closer, catching her eye again. Can we talk? He asked. The weight of his words hung in the air as anticipation crackled. As Sarah nodded, stepping aside with him, a wave of uncertainty and possibility washed over her. What was he about to reveal? Would his truth shatter her hopes or build something new? In this moment, Sarah understood she was on the precipice of something transformative. The rain poured down, thunder roaring outside, mirroring the tumult within. Could they both grasp this chance at connection? The moment lingered between them, an electrifying tension that made Sarah's heart race. Robert leaned in, a mix of urgency and hesitation in his expression. I've been meaning to share something, he began, his voice barely above the sound of the rain drumming against the windows. Something about my family and why I'm so passionate about tonight. Sarah swallowed hard, her mind racing with possibilities. Could it be what she thought? Was he opening up about his own struggles? She found herself leaning closer, instinctively searching his eyes for answers. After my father lost his job last year, things have changed. It's been tough, he admitted, his voice trembling slightly. I didn't know how serious it was until we almost lost our home. I didn't want anyone to know, I didn't want pity. The shaking in his voice broke her heart. This powerful figure she had looked up to was carrying a weight she could never have imagined. Robert, I had no idea. I'm really sorry, she said softly, her empathy spilling over. He looked down for a moment, gathering himself. Then he glanced back up, his vulnerability shining through. I realize that events like this, they remind me of what we can do when we come together. It gave me hope, something I desperately needed. The storm outside intensified, mirroring the turbulent emotions swirling inside Sarah. It was hard to process everything. You're not alone in this, We're all fighting our battles, she reassured him, thinking of her own challenges. Thank you, Sarah. You have no idea what it means to hear that. He hesitated, then pressed on. That's why I want to do more than just support this project. I want to be a part of it. Help make it a reality. I believe in this just like I believe in the future of our community. A spark ignited inside her. Robert's words filled her with determination. Together they could weave a narrative of resilience, not just for themselves, but for all those who felt lost. But could they truly create something lasting amid the noise of their personal storms? At that moment the thunder roared once more, drawing their gaze to the windows. The rain continued to pour like a flood of emotions, fierce and unrelenting. Let us not just talk about it. Let us mobilize people, make some noise about this clinic. You, me, and everyone here, we can rally the support we need, Sarah said, her voice climbing with excitement. She felt a wave of adrenaline rush over her as visions of their potential danced in her mind. Robert's eyes lit up like stars. You're right. We bridge the gap between those in need and those who have the means to help. Together we can show them what true hope looks like. The camaraderie blooming between them felt powerful. But no sooner had they shared this moment than the atmosphere around them began to shift yet again. Sarah's phone buzzed in her pocket. She fished it out, lips tightening as she read the notification, a message from her mother's old friends offering unexpected charity support. Could this change everything? She glanced back to Robert, who was watching her with cautious anticipation. Was this fortune truly aligned with their plans? Or was it a distraction? What's wrong? He asked, concern flickering across his face. It's a message. They want to help. But we need to decide whether to accept it or continue on our own, she replied, battling the whirlwind of options swirling in her mind. As the rain continued to cascade outside, she felt the weight of their choices pressing in. Would she take the leap or forge her own path? The storm outside couldn't compare to the storm of potential right in front of her. And suddenly, Sarah realized that the next steps they took could manifest change far beyond anything she had dreamed. Would she accept help when she could be the source of change? What would it mean for both her and Robert's futures? As she pondered her reply, the energy in the room shifted once again, and Sarah braced herself for the next uncertain turn in their shared journey. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she looked into Robert's eyes, searching for a hint of what to do. She could feel the storm raging outside, matching the turmoil within her. Should she embrace the unexpected support offered, or fight their own battles? Sarah. Robert's voice broke through her thoughts. The concern in his expression pulled her back to reality. What are you thinking? She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. I'm just trying to wrap my head around all this. If we accept help now, does that mean we'll owe something? Will it change the vision we have for the clinic? We can't turn away support, Robert said, his voice steady. This could be the lifeline we desperately need. There's a way to accept help without compromising our purpose. He paused, leaning in closer, his hand lightly resting on the table. We just have to be clear about our vision. This clinic isn't just about a building, Sarah. It's about hope, the hope we've been talking about. Sarah nodded slowly, feeling the flicker of excitement once more. He was right. This was their chance to create something bigger. A beacon for those struggling in silence, just like they once had. Okay, she said, determination creeping back into her voice. Let us set up a meeting with them. We can outline our goals, our dreams, and make sure that they understand what we want for the community. If they're willing to help us realize that. She trailed off, letting the possibilities sink in. Robert smiled, a glimmer of relief washing over his handsome face. Exactly. We can keep the essence of what we're fighting for. And I'll stand with you every step of the way. As enthusiasm bubbled between them, the storm seemed to lighten outside. The wind howled momentarily before stilling, as if waiting for their next move. With a sudden sense of urgency, Sarah pulled out her phone, heart racing as she prepared to type a message back to her mother's friends. But then, in the midst of her excitement, her fingers froze. There was another message on her screen. She glanced at it, her breath hitching in her throat. It was from her mother, a digital note filled with worry and uncertainty, asking about their financial situation and expressing concern over her own well-being. Sarah, what's wrong? Robert asked, tilting his head slightly, reading the change in her expression. Her heart sank. It's my mom, she's struggling, Robert. She doesn't want to ask for help, but she's scared. His eyes softened and he reached for her hand, intertwining his fingers gently with hers. We can help her too. Maybe we can create a broader network beyond just the clinic. We could emphasize outreach for families in need, affordable healthcare for everyone, regardless of income. Her heart raced at the thought as ideas began cascading through her mind. I've never thought about it like that. We could create a community that supports each other, not just for healthcare but everything. Food programs, educational workshops, everything. We could help those who feel like they don't matter. And just like that, a spark ignited once more. The vision before her was blooming, touching them both in a profound way. Their mission was transforming into something bigger, a community-driven goal that made Sarah's heart flutter with excitement. Just then, the faint sound of laughter broke through the tension. They looked toward the doorway where a few friends had gathered, eyes bright with curiosity, unaware of the storm that had just transpired. "Hey, what's cooking in here?" one of them called, grinning. Robert chuckled, releasing her hand slowly. "Just a little brainstorming session. The kind that could change our lives." Sarah's mind raced. They were on the brink of something powerful. But there were still unknowns lying in wait. What if the support from her mother's friends came with strings? What would happen if they failed to hold on to their original vision? As she looked at Robert, she knew more challenges awaited. But was she ready to confront them head-on, with an ever-expanding vision that could uplift so many? "Let us do this together," she said softly, determination lighting up her features. But as excitement spiraled around them, a new worry flickered in Sarah's mind. Could she juggle her own family's struggles while fostering a community revolution? The thought nagged at her, pulling at her heart. She had yet to share the full weight of her burdens with Robert. Would she be brave enough to reveal her truth about her family when the time was right? And what would it mean for them, for their growing connection? Uncertainty hung in the air as laughter and chatter filled the room. But inside, her heart grappled with unanswered questions. And just like that, the storm resumed outside, setting the perfect stage for what was yet to come. The laughter of their friends echoed in the room, a stark contrast to the emotional whirlwind swirling inside Sarah. She forced a smile, but her mind was miles away, tangled up in everything that felt so heavy. How could she share the struggles of her family while building this new vision? Was there room for both? Robert's voice was a comforting presence amidst the noise. "Why don't we tell them what we're planning? We have friends here who believe in us." He waved a hand toward their friends, who leaned against the doorframe, eager for details. For a moment Sarah hesitated, uncertainty creeping in again. She wanted this monumental dream to be perfect. What if their support came with conditions? What if they don't understand? She asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. "They will," Robert replied, pouring genuine warmth into his words. "They're our friends, Sarah. They want to see us succeed." He looked at her with an intensity that made her feel seen, like the weight of the world was balanced on their shoulders together. Taking a deep breath, she nodded. "Okay, let us do it." With a surge of determination, she and Robert walked closer to their friends, ready to unveil their plans. As they explained their vision for the clinic, one rooted in community care, hope, and outreach, Sarah felt a strange sense of empowerment wash over her. One friend, Lisa, stepped forward, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "This is amazing. We need more of this in our town. How can I help?" The enthusiasm was contagious. One by one, more friends began to express their support, ideas spilling in from every direction. They offered assistance, from fundraising to spreading the word. The tide was shifting, and each cheer of encouragement added fuel to Sarah's growing confidence. But amidst the positivity, a soft voice within her warned of the burdens she still held close. Each smile from a friend felt weighted by her unshared truth. They had no idea about her mother's struggles, or how thinly stretched her heart felt trying to juggle everything. Could she carry this load while also guiding their fledgling dream? "Let us make a timeline," Robert suggested, snapping her back to reality. "We can set achievable goals. If we get organized, we can tackle the clinic and help families like yours." Sarah's heart clenched at the mention of her family. "Right, the timeline," she echoed, her voice faltering slightly. But just as a renewed sense of direction filled the air, she spotted a flicker of movement outside. Her mother was approaching their window, unfazed by the weather. Sarah swallowed hard, a wave of heat rising to her cheeks. Did her mother know that they were plotting their future, that they were on the cusp of something monumental? "Mom!" Sarah called out, her voice a mix of panic and surprise. "What are you doing here?" The stormy wind whipped around outside, framing her mother in a way that was both dramatic and familiar. The worry etched on her mother's face sent Sarah's heart racing. The clasps of worry backfired as Sarah's mind raced to formulate some kind of explanation. "I just wanted to check on you," her mother replied, stepping into the warm glow of their gathering. The eagerness in her face quickly faded to concern as she sized up the group. "What's going on?" Sarah's stomach churned. Here was the moment. She could feel it winding up to release. Standing at the crossroads of familial obligation and personal ambition, she faced her mother, weighing every word. "We're working on something big," she started, but then faltered. Shouldn't she just embrace this moment and share everything? The weight of her mother's burdens hung on her shoulders too. What do you mean? Her mother prompted, a hint of worry lining her voice. All eyes were turning to Sarah, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Every heart in the room beat in sync, waiting for her answer, waiting for her to finally unveil not just her plans but the entire truth. But what if this revelation changed everything? Mom, there's something you need to know, Sarah began, feeling the storm building within her, even stronger than the one outside. Would she dare to unveil the binds holding her back? And could she find the courage to reveal life-changing secrets that might set them all free? As she delved into her truth, Sarah could feel the air shifting, the anticipation crackling like electricity. Her heart pounded louder, ready to leap into the unknown. What lay ahead was uncertain, but the potential for transformation hung in the balance, as did the future of their dream. Mom, there's something you need to know, Sarah forced the words out, her heart racing as the storm outside began to mimic the one inside her. Her friends looked on, their faces a mix of concern and curiosity. Robert took a step closer, sensing the tension lingering in the air. He offered her a reassuring nod, but Sarah felt the weight of this moment pressing down on her chest like a boulder. It's about the clinic and us, Sarah continued, trying to muster the strength she needed. Her mother's eyes widened, shifting between apprehension and a spark of hope. I know things have been tough lately, and she hesitated, searching for the right words. I want to help people like us, families who are struggling, families like ours. The murmurs in the room quieted. Her mother's brow furrowed, piecing together each word. What do you mean, Sarah? There are families who feel lost, who don't have the resources they need. I want to create a clinic that offers support and care. Sarah felt each word peeling back layers of her heart, letting vulnerability seep through. But she took a sudden breath. I can't do this without taking care of everything at home first. I can't simply jump into this dream while I'm struggling. Her mother interrupted gently, the vulnerability evident in her own voice. The room fell silent and Sarah glanced around. All eyes were glued to her, waiting. The walls felt like they were closing in, each second stretching painfully, yet somehow freeing. Mom, I don't want to let you down while I follow my dreams. But I don't want to ignore the reality of our situation either. Her mother's gaze softened, but there was uncertainty dancing behind her eyes. You have the right to dream, Sarah. I want you to do this. But what about you? Sarah's voice broke, revealing her deepest fear. What's going to happen to you if I'm not around to help? The tears threatened to spill, but she held them back, wanting to be strong for her mom. Sweetheart, her mother replied, her voice steady and comforting. I may be struggling, but I need to know you'll follow your heart. You won't let me drown just because you're chasing after happiness. With trembling hands, Sarah reached out, finding the strength to hold her mother's gaze. What if I can't do both? The clinic and taking care of you? Robert stepped in, his voice calm and soothing. Sarah, you may need to change how you approach this. You can prioritize your family and your dream. You don't have to choose one over the other. The encouragement wrapped around Sarah like a warm blanket. She began to see a path forward, navigating the hard balance of life and passion. So you're all in? Her mother asked, a flicker of determination flashing across her features. You really want to do this? Even if it's messy? Yes. The answer burst from Sarah's lips, firm and steady. The room seemed to breathe in unison, relief washing over the gathering, lightening the tension that had hung in the air. But it means I need your support too, Mom. I want us to do this together. As their hands clasped, the storm outside seemed to quiet. In that small moment, surrounded by friends and the warmth of her mother, hope sparked anew. Maybe they could reshape their futures, build something meaningful. But just as the mood lightened, a dread washed over Sarah. What if you need me more than I anticipate? She thought, biting her lower lip. Robert cleared his throat. Let us start by laying out some goals. If we come together, we can make this happen. Who's with us? Cheers erupted as they rallied together. But Sarah's heart fluttered with a different kind of fear. Could unity turn into responsibility? Or would it spark more strain? As the plans unfolded around her, a thought lingered. What other truths were hidden, waiting just below the surface? Sarah needed to prepare for the waves that could shift everything. Would unveiling more parts of her past strengthen their dreams or tear them apart? The laughter and chatter began to fade, overtaken by the steady rhythm of rain tap-tapping against the windows. Sarah stood at the center of it all, but her mind raced with questions. The warmth from her friends felt distant. She should be feeling grateful, but a shiver ran down her spine. "Okay," Robert said, drawing everyone's attention back to the task at hand. "Let us break this down. What are our first steps?" His confidence was infectious, making Sarah feel like they were champions ready to take on a great mission. But everything depended on her. "I think we should start by researching the needs in our community," Sarah suggested, her voice firmer this time. "We need to know who we're trying to help, what services are really missing." "Agreed," Robert replied. "It's crucial to understand the specific issues families face. Maybe conduct surveys, gather stories." Her mother leaned in, listening closely. "And we can reach out to local organizations for partnerships. Maybe they'd be willing to provide resources or guidance." The room buzzed with ideas, each person contributing their thoughts, support blossoming from every corner. For the first time in a long while, Sarah felt a flicker of excitement. But a nagging thought remained. What if their enthusiasm faded once the reality of the work set in? She could feel that question lurking in her heart, a shadow waiting to snuff out the light they were trying to build. As they sketched out an outline for their plans, Sarah's stomach twisted, reminding her of the precarious position she found herself in. Persistence was one thing, but pursuing her dreams while managing her responsibilities was another beast entirely. "Hey Sarah," Emma chimed in, catching her distracted expression. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About?" Sarah hesitated. "About what happens next. What if I screw it up? What if I can't handle everything?" Emma tilted her head, whispers of understanding in her eyes. "You won't know unless you try, right? Besides, we're all here to help you." The warmth spread through Sarah's chest again, and she inhaled deeply. "You're right. I just need to stay focused. Focus on what matters." Robert's voice was steady. "Remember, helping others will bring balance, not take away from it. It's not just about the clinic. It's about healing, about all of us." In that moment, something shifted within Sarah. Perhaps it wasn't simply the responsibility of her mother on her shoulders, or the pressure to make this dream feasible. This was a call to arms, a way to turn their collective suffering into a beacon of hope for others. Slowly, that fear began to transform. It wasn't a weight, it was a drive, a shared journey towards something bigger. As the rain lightened outside, the mood in the room brightened too. They laughed, they planned, and bit by bit, Sarah felt the pieces falling into place. But just as they were finalizing their plans, Sarah's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and her heart skipped a beat. A message from her mom with a single simple line, "We need to talk." Chills crept down her spine. What could it be about? The room around her faded, the laughter dimming as anxiety surged. Memories of worry flashed through her mind. The fragility of their situation loomed tall. As her friends continued discussing next steps, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the storm was still brewing, even if the rain was letting up outside. Could she take on another hidden truth? Was this just the beginning of the storm still waiting to be weathered? What was her mother holding back this time, and how would it change everything? The message hung in the air like an unfinished sentence, its weight growing heavier by the second. Sarah blinked, struggling to push the worry aside, but it clawed at her mind with relentless persistence. "Sarah, you okay?" Emma's voice broke through her thoughts, concern etched on her face. Yeah, just got a text from my mom." Sarah's voice faltered. She could feel every gaze converging on her, and suddenly the plans, the laughter, it all seemed so distant. "What did she say?" Robert asked, his brows furrowed in curiosity. "She wants to talk," Sarah replied, her heart beating quicker. It felt like an ambush, and she wasn't sure if she was ready for whatever news was about to come. "Hey, it's probably nothing big," Emma reassured. But Sarah could hear the tremor of uncertainty in her friend's voice. "Maybe she just needs help with something?" "Yeah, right," Sarah muttered. The usual instinct to dismiss her concerns was drowned out by the unease tightening in her chest. "It's never just something small." Robert sensed the shift in her mood. "Why don't you go talk to her now? We can hold down the fort here." She hesitated. The thrill of their newfound purpose dulled in the face of her uncertainty. But the urgency in Robert's gaze made her realize this was a moment when she had to choose: face whatever lay ahead, or let it spiral into a bigger fear. Taking a deep breath, Sarah nodded. You're right. I'll be back as soon as I can. As she stepped out into the hallway, the raindrops continued to drizzle against the window, a soothing backdrop to her racing thoughts. The walls suddenly felt too close, and she could almost hear the echoes of her past secrets whispering. Opening the door to her home, she could see her mom sitting at the kitchen table, her posture tense and rigid. The warm glow of the overhead light cast shadows across the room, making the atmosphere feel heavy. "Hi, Mom," Sarah said, forcing a smile that felt brittle. She took a seat, struggling to mask the storm within her. "Hey, sweetheart." Her mother's voice was soft, but the tension rumbled just beneath the surface. "I know you've been busy with your friends and planning the clinic. Yeah, it's going well. We're making progress." But her mother's gaze flickered down, and Sarah knew that whatever news was coming wouldn't be easy to hear. "There's something you need to know. Something I should have told you a long time ago." Her heart dropped. "What is it?" "I didn't just come back to help with the clinic, Sarah. There's a lot about our situation that I've kept from you." "What do you mean?" The words came out sharper than intended, a mix of confusion and fear swirling within her. "Remember the financial struggles we've had? It's more complicated than that. There are things about your father that you don't know." Sarah felt her stomach twist at the mention of her father. "Mom, please. Can we just talk about the clinic? It is connected." Her mother countered, the urgency in her voice rising. "It's all tied to what's about to happen next." The air thickened between them. "Take a breath," Sarah said quietly, though her own breaths were coming shallow and quick. "What do you mean connected? What's really going on?" Her mom raised her gaze, a mix of fear and resolve in her eyes. "I need to tell you the truth. Not just about the clinic but about our family." The ground beneath Sarah trembled as the implications began to sink in. Everything they had talked about, every plan they made, felt naive suddenly. "What truth?" Sarah's voice was barely a whisper, laced with an urgency matching her heartbeat. Her mother paused, the silence dragging painfully long before she finally spoke, each word a fragile thread pulling them closer to a revelation that could shatter everything. "I can't explain it all right now, but some unexpected news might be coming, and it will change everything." A chill cascaded down Sarah's spine. Whatever bombshell was waiting, it felt monumental, and the air felt charged with an impending storm. "Is it about money? About Dad?" Sarah pressed, heart pounding. "More than that, Sarah. Just know that you're not alone. I will explain everything. But you have to brace yourself because I promise you this isn't the conclusion we expected." The room spun as Sarah tried to wrap her head around her mother's words. What was hidden in the shadows? What maze lay ahead for them, and could they find their way through it together? What was that unexpected news, and why did it feel like everything was about to unravel? Sarah's heart raced at her mother's words, the air heavy with unspoken truths. Her mother's hands trembled as she clasped them on the table, a physical manifestation of the storm brewing within. "Mom," Sarah whispered, her voice laced with a mix of fear and curiosity. "What do you mean it's more than that?" Her mother took a deep, shaky breath. "There are things about your father, things you've never understood. I didn't know how to tell you, and I thought I could protect you from the truth." "Protect me?" Sarah echoed incredulously. "By keeping secrets?" "Mom, that's not how it works." The hurt in her voice was palpable, a raw wound that threatened to break open. I know." Her mother's voice cracked, desperation creeping in. "But if I told you everything before, it would have shattered what little stability we had left. I was trying to keep us safe." "Safe from what?" The frustration seeped through Sarah's facade. "From what Dad did. From who he really was." The memories of her father's absence flooded back, each birthday gift, each hug from a family friend standing in for him. "Yes." Her mother's voice dropped, almost pleading. "But that isn't the worst part. You have to understand, it's not just about him. It's about what he left behind. There are consequences, things I wish I could take back." Sarah felt her world tilting. What kinds of consequences? Financial? Legal? Anxiety clawed at her throat like a creeping vine, choking any semblance of calm. "Both," her mother whispered, refusing to meet her gaze. "And more. I wasn't just hiding the past. I was trying to shield you from the reality of what he did, how it could affect our future." Silence hung heavy between them, each breath a quiet surrender to dread. Sarah caught the scent of coffee mingling with something bitter fear, perhaps. Mom, I need you to be honest with me. No more half-truths or hiding things, please. Her mother looked up, the shadowed guilt in her eyes revealing the depth of her turmoil. There's a chance we will have to sell the house. I didn't want you to worry, but we might lose everything if we can't pay the debts he left behind. And I don't know how to make it right. The walls felt like they were closing in. You mean the clinic, our plans, everything? The realization hit her like a slap. An ugly reality she had been denying. Yes, the clinic was supposed to be our fresh start. But I didn't realize how deep in trouble we were. Sarah, I thought when I came back we'd be fine. I thought you could start anew. But the truth was buried. Sarah shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. You could have trusted me. It's not just about trust. It's about love, about wanting to protect you. Her mother's own tears glistened. I never wanted you to feel this burden. I wanted you to believe we could build a life together. But it feels like we're just standing on the edge of a cliff. Sarah's voice quivered. The emotional weight almost too much to bear. What did you mean by unexpected news? Is it something worse? Her mother opened her mouth to respond, but the words seemed to vanish as she looked past Sarah, as if listening for something just beyond reach. Then with wide eyes she spoke a single word. They're here. Who? Mom, what are you talking about? Panic surged through Sarah, tightening her chest. But before her mother could answer, the door swung open, revealing two strangers standing in the doorway, their expressions unreadable. Sarah's stomach knotted. Who were they and what did they want? It felt like the world outside was shaking, threatening to collapse around them. Are you Sarah? One of them asked, stepping forward with an air of authority. What did they want? And how could their arrival signify the beginning of an even deeper unraveling? Sarah's body tensed as she stared at the two strangers who stood in the doorway. Their expression was a mix of professionalism and something darker. They wore somber suits, their eyes scanning the room. Do we know you? Sarah asked, her heart pounding like a drum against her ribs. I'm Agent Miller, and this is Agent Green, the taller one said, his voice steady but cold. We need to speak with you and your mother about your father. Every instinct in Sarah's body screamed for her to retreat. What about my father? She demanded, her voice surprising herself with its strength. There are matters that need immediate attention, Agent Miller replied, his gaze unwavering. We're here to discuss the consequences of your father's actions, and how they affect your current situation. Consequences? The word felt like a slap. Sarah glanced at her mother, whose face had drained of color. What did Dad do? Please let's sit. Agent Green motioned toward the kitchen table. Reluctantly, Sarah felt a wave of dread lift her feet toward the table, her stomach churning with every step. Her mother sank into a chair, looking smaller than ever. Sarah took a seat next to her, bracing herself for the worst. Your father had business dealings that were less than legal, Agent Miller said carefully, his voice measured. This has left behind considerable debt that may now fall on you. The room plunged into a deafening silence. Sarah's mind raced, the world narrowing around her. What kind of debt? Agent Green spoke up, flipping open a folder and showing papers. Tax evasion, fraud. Numerous lawsuits. We're here to inform you that you might face legal action if this isn't settled. It felt like the air had been knocked from her lungs. This can't be happening. Panic clawed at her voice. I'm just trying to build a future. Part of our duty is to inform you that this debt can potentially affect your ability to open that clinic you discussed. Agent Miller interjected, his expression sympathetic but firm. You might have to consider shutting it down or face severe penalties. No, you don't understand. That clinic is for families like ours. Sarah felt her emotions bubble over, tears welling up as she shook her head. We're trying to create something better. Sarah, we can fight this, her mother said softly, but the tremor in her voice made Sarah's heart ache. What if I can't? She felt small, lost in a sea of responsibilities she had never asked for. Listen to us. Agent Green's voice was steady now. We can help you navigate this, put you in touch with legal counsel who specializes in these cases. But you need to be prepared for the hard work ahead. Hard work. The words tasted bitter. I'm already drowning here between this and everything I'm trying to build. I can't lose everything I've worked for. Sarah, her mother reached for her hand, a desperate plea for calmness. We will get through this together. But Sarah felt like she was teetering on the edge of a cliff, caught between despair and an uncertain future. There were too many storms raging inside her. A moment of silence hung in the air like fog, heavy and suffocating. I don't want to let anyone down, Sarah finally murmured, glancing up at the two agents, their faces offering no solace. You're not alone, Agent Miller said, leaning forward. There are options. If you can work together with your community, create a robust support system, it could mitigate some of the damages. Community, the word bounced around her thoughts, mingling with memories of the fundraiser, the laughter and hope of her friends who believed in her vision. But what if I can't pull it off? Agent Green spoke, his voice softer. You're already doing more than most would in your position. You're trying to rally support for change. That counts for something. Sarah felt the flicker of resilience igniting within her. But it was still overshadowed by fear. I have to think. Take your time, Agent Miller said, clearly following the tension in the room. Feel free to reach out to us with any questions. You have a month to figure things out. With that they stood, their presence looming but lessened as they walked to the door. And remember, he added, turning his gaze to both women. Your choices matter in shaping the outcome for you and your community. Once they left, a heavy silence wrapped around Sarah. What now? She whispered, feeling utterly lost. I don't know, her mother said, her hands trembling. But whatever it is, we'll face it together. The rain had stopped outside, but the storm within Sarah still raged. She felt torn between a responsibility to her family and a longing to create something new. I wanted to change our lives, Mom. I know, sweetheart. But perhaps change is still possible. Just different than you imagined. Sarah looked at her mother, the pain etched on her features. The truth had come crashing down. But perhaps it was a rough beginning for a chance at something better. We can still help, Sarah murmured, determination flooding her soul. You believe that? Her mother asked, her eyes brimming with cautious hope. Yes. Together we can turn our struggles into strength. I have people standing behind me who believe in this dream. They won't give up on me, and I won't give up on them or us. That night, as they pieced together plans amidst their uncertainty, a new storm of determination blossomed. In the depths of her heart, Sarah could feel the slightest shift, a burning ember of resolve igniting amongst the chaos. It wouldn't be easy, but perhaps through this struggle, they would find a way to turn the tides in their favor. The world outside had stilled, a calm after the storm, as Sarah embraced the uncertain yet hopeful path ahead. And just like that, she realized, sometimes life's greatest challenges could lead to the most beautiful changes, if only they dared to face them together. You need to subscribe now to follow along on this journey of transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach even more hearts. Comment below to share your reactions and feelings about the journey we've just taken. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see the power of resilience and hope.